railroad rib beanie is ideal for the chilly weather of autumn and spring. While the step-by-step instructions make the beanie quick and easy to crochet, along the way you'll also learn how to crochet the automatic picot edging and how to create the invisible seam in pattern. I've also added a bonus section where you will learn why some yarn substitutions just don't work the way you expect. The lilac and gray heather beanies both used worsted weight yarn, yet I needed to make one simple adjustment. Your beanies will fit like a dream and you can use what yarn you have on hand. Then you can follow the link in the description to get the companion pattern. It includes the railroad rib beanie, the railroad rib cap, and a matching scarf. But for now, let's crochet the beanie. Form a slip knot and chain 33. Roll the chain over to expose the third loop on the back. We're going to be working under that loop, but we're going to count off to the third stitch or the third chain from the hook. That's where we're going to start. We're going to yarn over and insert our hook in that loop on the back, pull up a loop. We have 3 loops on hook, and yarn over and pull through all 3. That's a half double crochet. Now we're going to go and work a half double crochet in each one of those chains all the way to the end. We're down to the last 2, and we're going to work the last 2 half double crochets in that third loop on the back, just like we did all the other ones. And when we get to the end, you should have 32 half double crochets, counting this turning chain at the beginning as 1 half double crochet. Now we're going to place a marker here. I like to chain my 3 which belong to the next row. 1, 2, 3. Now that keeps the chains all in line with the stitches on the edge. Now what you do is you turn from right to left. In other words, you take your piece of work here and turn it that way. We're going to begin with a half double crochet in the third chain from the hook. And what we're going to do is go into the third loop on the back of the chain, which is right there. And the way we turn it, this keeps us nice and smooth. So now we're going to yarn over, bring our hook to the back at the bottom, but it's still on the front. You're not going like that, okay? You're coming from the front, but from the back of that third loop and coming forward. And you're going to yarn over, pull up a loop. Then we have 3 loops on hook, yarn over, and pull through all 3. That completes the first half double crochet. And what you really have is you have a turning chain, which we will not count as a half double crochet because that is actually the picot. Had we not turned it, there is a third loop on the back of a half double crochet, and it's right there, okay? But when you turn it, it comes to the front. But we're going to call this the third loop on the back because it was on the back of the half double crochet when you made it. So we're going to yarn over and do another half double crochet. And do you see it? It's not the top 2 loops like you normally go into. It's the third loop, which is just below the top 2 loops. So yarn over, insert, once again, from that down and up motion, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Yarn over, insert into the next one, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through all 3. Before we go too much further, I want to point to the top of the crown because on this row we are also short rowing. Counting the turning chain as the first stitch, mark the 4th stitch from the end at the crown. I'm going to work up to it. So I'm going to continue along this, and when I get to that marker, I'm going to rejoin you. We're at the point where we're going to work a half double crochet into the last stitch before the marker. That marks the 4th stitch from the end. Now I'm going to chain 2 and turn. And then I'm going to work right into that very first one, and I'm going to come back down, working in that third loop of the half double crochet, and I'm going to continue right on down this side. Let's look at what we have. It created a little step. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take my marker that I had marked the 4 on, and I'm going to move it up to the chain 2 turning chain. I want to make sure I know where that is when I come back. And I'm going to continue going all the way to the bottom edge. So we're going to work up until the last half double crochet. Now, this we don't count as a half double crochet on this end. This is the half double crochet. So what we're going to do is work 1 half double crochet in the last half double crochet. We're going to ignore that picot, but we now are on the end of the bottom edge. So on the bottom edge, you chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep that nice and straight and turn it from right to left. Once again, we're going to return to the third loop on the third chain from the hook, which is right there. Can you see that? And we're going to yarn over and work our first half double crochet into that little loop. And then from then on, we're going to work a half double crochet in each of the stitches up until 4 stitches from the end. Mark that stitch and continue on. Okay, we are there, and we are finishing the last half double crochet of this row. We're going to chain 2 and turn. Now we're just going to work down to the lower edge. But before we go too much further, I'm going to move that last marker to my chain 2 space here. Right there. All right. All right, and I'm going to continue on down this side. All right, we're getting there. Now, we have 1 more half double crochet to work because we don't count the turning picot as a stitch. So, we chain 3 because we're at the bottom edge, turn from right to left to keep that nice and aligned. Then we come back here, yarn over, find the third loop on the back of the third chain, right on that end, right there, and work our first half double crochet. And then we work all the half double crochets up until we get to 1 stitch before the marker. But let's look at what we have before we go too much further. Do you see how the tracks of the railroad rib are developing on both sides? And note the stretch. On the bottom edge, we have these beautiful little picots. The bottom edge always is repeated the same way from now on. On the crown, we have 2 steps. So this 5th pattern row comes down and goes all the way back to the crown. And we smooth these edges out because these are what they call short rows. We have reached the stitch before the marked stitch. Yarn over. Insert your hook under that third loop on the back of the stitch. You're always going to go under that. And you have 3 loops on hook. Now you're just going to insert in around the turning chain and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through all 4 loops on the hook. We've just done our first modified half double crochet decrease. So now we're going to yarn over, insert into the same turning chain, pull up a loop. That's 3 loops on hook. Then we're going to look at the stitch below the edge stitch, which is this one here on the next row on the step, okay? And look where it's coming out of, right there. So what we're going to do is just insert our hook there, pull up a loop, 4 loops on hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. When you get to the step, you're going to work the first 2 stitches just regularly by finding that 3rd loop of the half double crochet and pulling up a loop and completing a half double crochet. But now we're once again 2 stitches before the step, which is 1 stitch before the turning chain. So we're going to yarn over, insert in that 3rd loop on the back of the half double crochet, pull up a loop, then go into the turning chain and pull up a 2nd loop. 4 loops on hook, yarn over, pull through all 4. Then we're going to yarn over, go into around the turning chain again, pull up a loop, then find in the edge stitch of the prior row and find out where it's coming out of right there. It's real easy to see when it's in your hand. Insert into that, pull up a loop. 4 loops on hook, yarn over and pull through all 4. That's another modified half double crochet. Now we have the lower step. All we need to do is work 1 half double crochet in the next 3 half double crochets, which leaves the turning chain. That's the 4th stitch. Yarn over and just go around it and work a half double crochet. You've just completed row 5. And you see how it smooths out? Now, we can remove these markers at this point because the next row is pretty easy. We're going to chain 2, which counts as the first half double crochet, turn the work, and then just work 1 half double crochet in each of the stitches, which brings us back to our total of, in this case, 32 stitches. And we'll just go all the way down. It gets a little tricky over the transitions, so you might want to count after this row. We're getting to the bottom edge, and our last half double crochet is right there. So we're ending row 6 with a half double crochet in the last half double crochet.
Pattern rows 1 through 6 create the short rowing sequence. It's easy to count the sequences as the tracks just end toward the crown. For this yarn, repeat pattern rows 1 to 6 7 more times, making sure to end after row 5 at the crown.
We have just completed pattern row 5 and we end at the top of the cap. Now we're going to join it. And what you're going to do is you're going to chain 1 and turn. Bring up the other side of the hat right behind the side that's you're going to be working. And we're going to be working actually through both thicknesses. Remember that marker at the bottom? I'm going to reuse that marker. I'm going to find the last half double crochet on the bottom edge of this row, because remember this turning chain down here is the picot. So I want to end there, and it is going to match the last half double crochet on the beginning row. And I'm going to just pin those together. So now I'm going to return to my top edge. And I want you to, I'm zoomed in so that you can see exactly where I'm placing my hook, because it does matter. I've chained the 1, and now I'm going to go, just like before, in the 3rd loop on the back of the half double crochet, which is now on the front. Okay, just like I was doing the stitch. I'm going to insert my hook there, and then I'm going to go over to the very first row and insert my hook in the last of the turning chain, the base of the turning chain. That's my first stitch, and I'm going to go under both loops. I'm going to slip stitch. Then I'm going to go into the back loop of the 2nd half double crochet, and under both loops of the foundation chain. So you can see I now have 2 loops of the foundation chain, one loop, which is the back loop of the half double crochet on the side that's closest to me, and then my regular carrying loop. And I'm going to slip stitch. Once again, in the back loop of the half double crochet that's on the side that's facing me, and under both loops of the foundation chain, and slip stitch. And you're going to just do this all the way down to the marker. We're down to our marker that's holding these last two together. And I'm going to go under both those loops there and pull my yarn end through. Let's double check our work. If you look at it from the very top to the very bottom, it's basically invisible. We can just go on to finishing the top of the crown. We're going to draw it together. Pick up the edge stitches back and forth, like one each row. We're going to still take our yarn tail that we added and reinforce it.
Everyone knows when substituting yarn, you want to match the gauge, especially in a rib pattern. However, sometimes you just can't achieve both the stitches per inch and the rows per inch, but you can make some adjustments. First, match the stitches per inch. If you find you have fewer rows per inch than the gauge, assess if the ribbing has any elasticity at all. Even a little stretch will work. If it does, proceed with the ribbing. Since a medium-sized head is about 21 to 22 inches around, the target measurement is 1 to 2 inches less. As you approach the target, measure after completing each short rowing sequence. You do this by walking the measuring tape along the unstretched bottom edge just above the picots. Mine already measures 21 inches after 8 sequences. Use your judgment when you get close, but do not exceed the target.
So we have just finished the picot edge beanie.
I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please take a moment to subscribe and ring the bell to receive notifications of upcoming videos and events. Happy crocheting!